Big Blue Nation, welcome back to another episode of the Bluegrass Breakdown. I'm with my man AJ Nava as always, and we've had a slow week. Men's basketball not playing a game.
Nope.
Women playing last night.
Yep.
We got a lot to talk about. Man, how you been? How you been doing?
I've been all right. I mean,
I feel like I haven't seen you a lot. Like I feel like I'm dropping off a
microphone every now and again.
And then. We haven't really talked much about everything going on with Kentucky.
Hey, but this is the time to do it. Let's get it started.
Exactly. Denim jerseys, first of all.
Ooh,
we saw the debut.
I'm glad we're starting with that.
We have to, because they were absolutely gorgeous. And I don't think I saw one person say, ew, what are those? Maybe
no
like
one said something negative.
Some 50-year-old dad out there that just can't appreciate
Well, I'm sure some people in orange weren't too kind about it.
Well, yeah, of course, but that's.
But you know what I didn't know about it is that UK had the choice to either wear the white denim or the blue denim because it was a home game. I wasn't aware of that.
I wasn't either.
I think they should have gone blue.
Yeah, like the blue's OG. Like that's like.
I mean, that is the denim.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think maybe. Because I saw someone ask, like, you wore white, will you wear blue in an away game? I think it'd be really cool to, like, have those on against, like, Tennessee on the road next year, maybe.
Or even pull them out this year.
If you want to. But
like a Vandy revenge game later on, you pull out the blue denim.
Then you have to make it, like, your biggest rival and make it a thing against Tennessee because – I've seen so many teams, I'm thinking North Carolina and Duke especially, that have brought out black uniforms and they got their butts whipped when they wore them. They haven't dropped them since. So it's like, you can't have that with the denim uniforms. You got to be careful. It's got to be
I get it.
Very unique. And if it's going to be annual, it's got to be the same team.
But it became a great outcome, though.
Yeah. So they beat Tennessee, swept them again. It feels so good to say. 2 years in a row. But beat them in the tournament when it matters. So we have to you got to see some revenge there. Maybe they meet again in the SEC tournament, maybe March Madness again. Who knows? It's currently looking like it could be a possibility. We've seen some bracketology stuff come out, and it's looking like there could be a rematch with Tennessee and Arkansas and, Florida, I guess. It could be called a rematch after the upcoming games. But man, what a road.
A lot of bad blood is going to be coming back up come March.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's going to be fun to see.
But kind of diving back into this Tennessee game because we haven't got to talk about it much. Colin Chandler, again, hit a little clutch three.
What's his nickname, Kai? What's his nickname?
Which one? I've made like 10 of them in my mind.
What's your favorite?
Captain Clutch is pretty good. I think that's what everyone knows him. White Boy of the Year is probably top 3. I've heard Quad C going around.
Quad C?
Because it's Colin Captain Clutch Chandler, so you go Quad C.
Quad C, okay.
There's a lot you can call him. You can call him, like, Prime Michael Jordan, like, whatever.
Okay, let's go back into the game now. Let's stop glazing.
No. But for real, he has been I know they were calling him, like, one of Kentucky's more consistent shooters coming to this game, and it has been true. I know you brought up that he was around the same realm as Kobe Barea.
Or Phoenix brought that up.
Yeah. So it was like, is that kind of true? It's like,
is that reaching or is it true? It depends on how you look at it.
Right.
But in the terms of he can hit shots when it matters, that's where it becomes important. And he's done that consistently now throughout the season. And we saw it in the biggest clutch moments so far this year. Boom, laces the three from the amazing Ortega pass, by the way.
Yeah, Ortega, I mean, the thing is, when it gets to a late moment like that, I think we finally identified that, like, Ortega should be the guy with the ball taking a little mid-range jumper, and you should get it. But now it almost feels like everyone's kind of looking at Colin Chandler or maybe even
it's obvious
DA.
He's an option. It's obvious Colin Chandler is a viable option in the clutch now. DA, Ortega, and Colin, that's a good 3 guys you can look at in the final 10 seconds of a game.
Yeah, once again, in that Tennessee game, all 3 of those guys having amazing games, all over double digits. That's happened at least, I want to say, this isn't, don't quote me, but it's happened at least like 5, maybe even 6 times this season where
I don't have that stat up.
Where, like, all three of them have scored in double digits, and they've just been an extremely good backcourt. I'm glad they found that identity. They've won 9 out of the last 10, right? Or 8 out of their last 9, whatever it is. It's been an unreal run for Kentucky basketball after a very poor start, to be honest.
But just up and down, just everything about that start of the season, from the actual game to Mark Pope kind of never really alluding to that it's a problem. It's so refreshing and nice to see them kind of have this type of level, a straight surface to walk on. And I'm excited to see if they can keep it going. Maybe get, 4 games in a row with Florida now coming up?
Man.
That would be something.
That would be something, but I'm not sure if they can pull it off. I'm really not too sure. At Florida is going to be an extremely difficult game.
Gainesville, they got some fight in them. Absolutely. But you have to think DA revenge game, coming back to his old school, and he knows a lot of what goes on in that program, but at the same time, they know what goes on with DA. They might know how to shut him down, so we might have to look at Ortega or Mo to come back and fuel him. I know you asked Mark Pope a little bit about what it's going to be like for DA going back into Gainesville. Let me know.
Mark Pope just kind of talking about like how he's just so locked in, and I kind of asked him like at the end, is this just another game for him? And that's pretty much what it seemed like, because he's been so consistent. If you really like deep dive into DA on this little win streak that they've had, turnover to assist ratio is amazing. Shooting 40% from 3, averaging like 12 and 4. Like, that's good numbers, but you're not just playing any old team. When you're going on the road. Oklahoma's a different story with Ortega, because Oklahoma's just not that best of a SEC team. But when you look down this roster, you have Xavier Lee and Boogie Fland, who have improved tremendously. Mark Webb was talking a little about that yesterday. And then obviously the bigs with Condon and Chinyalu, 2 of the best offensive rebounding bigs in the entire nation. I'm not even going to say in the SEC, in the entire nation.
They've earned the right to have that be said about them.
Right. And then obviously Thomas Hall is their big dog who can go get a bucket any time. So
I mean, it's for those guys. That's why they're at the top of the SEC right now. Only 2 losses in conference.
Yeah.
This would be huge for Kentucky to win, because that boosts you instantly to number 1, as long as Arkansas can get a loss also. There's not much else I can say, but this is key, especially with the next couple of games coming up.
My big thing that I said earlier in the season is that I think, or not even earlier in the season, like last week, I was just like, I think they split against Florida. It makes sense. Like, they lose at Florida, they defend home court the last game of the season and beat them, take the SEC. I think that makes sense.
If you're a Kentucky fan, you want the sweep over Florida. A double sweep of Tennessee and Florida would be great. But that's most likely not going to happen. So if you're a Kentucky fan, you want UK to lose this game in Gainesville, because Florida is their last game of the season. You want that final win going into post play. That's exactly why you want it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think getting to your point even more is like, they don't want to see another horrible road loss. I think the one against Arkansas was amazing, and the fact that they won that game after being such like underdogs was a true show of heart. But we saw some bad ones. We saw at Vanderbilt. We've seen the Gonzaga game. Like, there's been games on the road where they just got their butt whipped, to put it lightly. And I don't think anyone wants to see that with this Florida game. If Kentucky can keep it close, even win outright, that would be a win in my eyes. After that, I want to get your opinions on the rest of the SEC schedule, because personally, I only had them losing 2 more games on the year. I think they'll drop one to Florida this upcoming Saturday, and then I think they could probably drop one at Auburn, or maybe even against Georgia at home, because I think those are 2 sneaky teams. I think I had them losing at A&M was my one. But I do think those Georgia-Auburn games will be very good. I kind of want to get your opinions on that. How do you think they'll finish out the SEC?
I think Auburn, you don't have to really worry about too much. They are a good team, but
They're just sneaky. They're weird.
I mean, but that's what it is. They're just sneaky, and I don't think the time versus UK, they'll have that little edge up. No, UK will be ready. But Georgia, on the other hand, I've watched a few of their games. I've seen the kind of fight that they have, the dog mentality, no pun intended, with the Bulldogs.
They're almost trying to be like a knockoff Alabama in my eyes. Like, they just score a lot. Their pace is great.
Yeah, low-key. And we've seen how UK played versus Vanderbilt in a very fast-paced team. If Georgia can kind of recreate that, that's something that UK can fall to very easily if they're not careful. The pace of the game isn't Kentucky's forte, I will say. They are more of a half-court kind of offense team, even though they do get some amazing highlights with Colin Chandler and Ortega. But I can see Georgia being one that knocks off, and not Texas A&M. In the Florida game, one of these Florida games, they are going to lose.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on that. But this upcoming one, absolutely huge for UK. I guess we all kind of know what it'll take to win. It's going to have to be consistency from the guards still, Colin, Ortega, DA, all of them, to go out and do what they have been doing. The main thing is for BG and Malachi Moreno and Yelovich and all those big men, they have to fight down low. They have to get every rebound they can. They got to die for loose balls. They got to go Dennis Rodman mode for a big game, and we'll see if they can pull it off.
I'll go one deeper with that. BG, he needs to be that spark. He needs to kind of start something, Don't go too far, but start something.
What we're saying is BG needs to punch someone in the face.
That's what he said. That's not what I said at all. But no, BG has to be that spark plug that Mark Pope said he is, just the right amount.
Yeah,
that way Malachi can get that little bit of oomph against these bigs that Florida has. And then be on the lookout for a DA revenge game. That would be awesome. That would be awesome to see.
A little 20 ball, maybe 30.
A little 25.
I'm just kidding. That would be nuts. If he pulled that off, that would be nuts. The women's basketball team finally got back on track last night. Let's switch over. You were there. Kind of tell me about the game. What do you think went right?
Well, what went right, obviously, for the women's, if you were watching the game, is the first quarter. The first quarter summed up the entire game. They outscored Texas A&M 27-5.
Yeah, I remember looking at the TV and I was like, dang, it's 14-0. I was A&M was
16-0 was the largest lead of the game, and obviously Texas A&M not the best team in the SEC right now, but everything went right in that first quarter, and I want to say things kept going for the rest of the game, but that really wasn't the story. They kind of struggled in the second quarter, still making shots, still keeping the lead. But then in the second half, it became a real slugfest of fouling, stoppages, turnovers, and both teams really were struggling to make baskets consistently. And the only reason that the game ended the way it did is because of that 22-point lead in the first quarter. Texas A&M just isn't a good enough team to come back from that, and Kentucky is a good enough team to keep the foot on the neck of the Tiger. So that's really what happened that game, but that's not even the biggest story to come out of that game. I know. You want to mention this?
Yeah, Toni Morgan, the new queen of assists. I put out a tweet, and I was like, I remember writing this whole it was like the last year's team was on pace for so many records, and I highlighted all of them. I remember one of them being Georgia breaking Patty Jo Hedges' assist record. And I was like, okay, if she actually does this would be crazy. And I think she'll hold this record for a while. Nope. 1 year later, it's broken.
Yep. I think it's such a mirror thing, because Georgia in her first season in the blue and white breaks this record that, everyone thought was going to stand for so long. Next year, Toni Morgan, her first year repping Kentucky blue, takes this record that everyone thought was going to stand for so long, breaks it by four assists, and she does it in 6 less games. It took Georgia 31. Toni did it in 26. And she still has 4 more games to stamp a couple more. And for someone who's averaging 8-9 assists a game, that record is going to skyrocket so high.
And now, let's just throw it out in the air, but I don't see someone breaking Toni's record when it's all said and done. It should be a long while. This time, I mean it.
This time you mean it.
Because if Kenny brings in another point guard for a third season in a row, and they're averaging 12 assists a game, and they just break it with ease. I'll be like, all right, dude.
That'll be Kenny's thing. He just always brings in crazy passing point guards.
We'll see, man. But that it's great to see a record like that go so quick.
I want to highlight her smile that she had in the post game. I was the second question I asked her. I was like, hey, Tony, congratulations. How's it feel? First year in the blue and white. You already etched your name in history. And I don't think I saw her smile leave throughout my entire question in the next 5 minutes after we were done. Like 3 questions later, she was still smiling.
Good vibes.
Congratulations. Good vibes. That's what the team needed, because before that...
3-game losing streak.
Yeah, 3-game losing streak. Dropped 5 of their last 7. 2 ranked losses inside the top 10. You can't fault that too much because number 7, Vandy, number 4, Texas. But still, they kind of needed this momentum going in because they have a tough stretch coming up.
Yeah, man. I do... I'll give kudos to myself because I told you. And my dad, shout out to my dad, has always preached this to me when it comes in to this area of play, when it gets deep into the season. If you're winning too early, you're not going to be a good team when it comes late in the year.
I guess, yep.
And if you're losing early, you're ultimately going to become a better team. I think we saw that dynamic. I'm not calling the women's basketball team bad, but I think they're very capable of winning out, frankly, and becoming one of these hard-nosed tournament teams that everyone has to worry about. But we saw very early on the men's basketball team struggle. And now I think they have their foundation, and now they're obviously hard to beat. They're second in the SEC. The women's basketball team, they were dominating teams, dominate, and then they're dropping games. I know they dealt with some injuries and
that's what I was going to bring up.
Changes, but still at the same time you're losing games. So does it fault a good team? Yeah, but I think they're going to bounce back. Like you're saying, the rest of these games, 3 ranked matchups left on the season.
Yep, number 14 Ole Miss, you got Vandy, and you got the big house South Carolina coming up in their last game of the season. It's going to be tough. What do you predict for that kind of schedule and matchups coming up?
I think I'm going to say they go 3-1.
3-1?
Yeah, I think they lose to South Carolina, obviously. Mm-hmm. I think a homestand against Ole Miss just makes sense for the momentum of the program. I think it's so hard to beat a team twice. Vanderbilt came into HMC and beat them by 1 point.
Yeah.
So and that was literally only because Michaela Blake just couldn't miss a shot. So I'm going to say Kentucky gets the revenge there, gets a 3-game going there. On the road against Auburn, and then obviously dropped to South Carolina. But we saw them beat LSU, and LSU's a juggernaut.
Yep.
So who knows? Maybe they go 4-0, end out the season on a crazy high note.
Anything can happen. I will say that the women's team has to be careful with fatigue and injuries coming up with this last season. I don't know if you saw, but in the first quarter of that last game versus A&M, Clara Strack went down with a knee injury. She came up limping off the floor. Super tough player because she came back in just 3 minutes, but you could see she was still limping throughout the rest of the game. And that big losing streak that they went on early in December going into January, that was because they were playing all these games in like short spans of time, and the players were fatigued. Tiani Key was out, and when that happened, you saw this team go from an upper echelon NCAA March Madness team to a kind of regular everyday D1 program. And you have to be careful because if Clara is having something serious right now, and Tiani with her elbow, and the rest of the girls, this schedule, these games are a few of them are pretty close together. So in the last pitch of the season, tiredness, injuries, just game planning in general, it could be something that turns our predictions of 3-1, 4-0 to 2-2, 1-3.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We'll see how they fare out. They got their next game this coming Sunday on February 15th against Ole Miss. We gotta talk a little bit, just a little tad, but softball has been crazy lately. They're 6-2, and then also baseball starts their first series today of the season. I know a lot of people were hyped about that this morning. So I've seen more game day posts for baseball than I do men's basketball. And that just shows you how much love in the Kentucky fan base there is for the Wildcats. And I'll tell you what, man, when we post like those final scores for the softball games on
they get numbers.
Our social media, they get numbers, man. They get a lot of people.
Shout out y'all for giving us numbers.
Yeah,
shout
man.
out.
There's a lot of people commenting like, I watched the streamcast on UK Athletics, like, because there wasn't a stream for the game, and they're just like, I was watching it, and I got so excited.
It was cool.
The little ball went in the air on the ballpark. I'm like, y'all are watching it like it's ESPN game, bro. It's funny, but the fans are passionate, and you know what, man? It's getting warm out. We're getting some baseball and softball going. It's a good time to be live.
The softball team's on a hot start so far. Shout out Coach Lawson, 6-2.
They got a top 15, not even top 25, a top 15 win last night against number 13 Stanford. So that was a big one.
Yep. And they have to play Stanford again today on Friday, and then tomorrow, Saturday, they have to play number 14 Oregon. That's going to be a tough. Yeah, that's a tough 3-game stretch.
Talking about getting your name out there, putting yourself up in the rankings, and we'll see, man.
And by the way, how hard can a series be when you're playing in California for a full month?
Yeah,
like, I'm so jealous about that. Like, I used to live in California. I know that place. I know San Diego. I know Santa Barbara. I know Palo Alto.
Yeah.
I went on a rant about this the other day somewhere else, and I'm just so jealous that I can't be there to watch.
When do they return home? We got to let the people know.
They don't return home until Wednesday, February 18th.
Okay, so next week.
Yeah, next week. Next week. They'll play Murray State in Murray, Kentucky. So it'll be a good game. But so far, this team really insane. Did you hear about Haley Nutter's performance against Loyola Chicago?
I did.
First career start, no hitter. That's insane. So that gives me so much hope for not just this season, but the next 4 years of the program, because a lot of this roster is made up of like tough, gritty freshmen that are ready to stamp their name on this. And Haley Nutter is just the first of many.
I know. I had this conversation the other day, and I'll end with this, but I think we're talking about Kentucky always being a basketball school.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you play against Kentucky, you always have some sense of urgency. It feels like they're going to compete, whether they're good or bad. Even with football last year, they would even keep some games close. Maybe not at Vanderbilt, and there's some exceptions, trust me, but there were some games that you could see them fighting. I think my point is if this softball team can continue to do what they're doing, and we can see baseball get back to Omaha and become this juggernaut that we all expect them to be, there's a conversation to be made. You have a great baseball, great softball, great volleyball program, women's basketball, men's basketball, now football with Will Stein. I think Kentucky's brand is on an upcoming trajectory.
So is the conversation...
Everything is thriving.
So is the conversation Kentucky is not just a basketball school, but one of the best athletic schools out there?
That's what I'm getting at.
That's what you're getting at. I wouldn't be too opposed to that. I've enjoyed all the athletic programs I've gone to in my past 4 years here. I've enjoyed it. So, hey, we're not the ones that say that. They're the ones that say that.
Amen.
So I want to see what BBN thinks about that take.
Yeah, for sure. I think they'd all agree, but we'll definitely talk about baseball and softball more next week when we got some more games under their belt and we can have more of a discussion. I think we'll kind of die down on the basketball talk just because it'll get late in the season. It's going to be like
I wouldn't say die down, but I would say,
it'll be more like
we're going to give more light
preview maybe or something like that.
And we're definitely going to give more light to softball and baseball.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, we still got everything. We got everything. We're going to talk about it all.
Yes, sir. Well, guys, thanks for watching and listening once again. I'm Kai McClelland to AJ and Nava. Make sure to check us out at KY Insider on everything, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it may be. And also check out our website, kyinsider.com. By the time you're seeing this, there's going to be a recap on the women's game last night. There's going to be some clips of Mark Pope talking yesterday. There's going to be tons of content for y'all to check out. So check it out as always, and we appreciate y'all.
Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day.
See y'all on the next one.